One, Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So, guys, I wanted to give this question: what is progressivism, or what is a progressive? A political, active definition of what is progressive. Sometimes I try to be too precise, and in being too precise, I'm unclear. I don't think it was a failure of creativity to come up with an answer. I think the problem is that the question is somewhat unclear. The answer is unclear. So, for example, the environmental movement. Black Lives Matter, Fight for 15. All of those things are different. All of those things are in their own sandbox. All of those people will be considered progressives. What happened if the Fight for 15 guy is okay with war policy? Is he no longer progressive at this point? I guess what I'm saying is, what's the dilution rate to make somebody a progressive versus not? I don't think that's what I mean. It's not the easiest question. But I do have an idea on how to kind of answer it. Or at the very least, a better way to answer it. Among all of the groups, or all of the people who would consider themselves progressives, the one key thing that seems to replicate itself, if it was the Book of Progressive, or Book of Progressivism, first line will be profits, or people matter infinitely more than profits. Now, when you look at it through that lens, and you start analyzing the different people who are in society, the different things that come up in society, right off the bat, it gives you a pretty good yardstick. So, for instance, Standing Rock. Under this model, well, people matter more than profits. Well, if that's the case, the Native Americans that live there, the tribe, matters a hell of a lot more than that oil company trying to make a bunch of extra money. The bias is towards the people in every situation. Take another one. Environmental regulation. Let's say like the EPA. Well, clean air, clean water is a benefit to the population. So yeah, the bias is going to be towards ensuring that the EPA can do its job adequately. Take another one. Income inequality or profits. Again, the bias is towards the people. The bias is not towards profits. So the policies that come into place, or the policies that are enacted, would lend more towards making sure people are able to have a decent life, not making sure the company can maximize their profits. Those things are different. That's your yardstick. That's the thing. When you look at the world, that's the lens that you're looking at to make a determination on whether the person is being progressive or whether they're just running their mouth. Now, most of the groups that have come out, like Brand New Congress, Brand New Congress, Justice Democrats, these groups are trying to arbitrarily move to the left. Now, they call themselves progressives, and they may be. But, look, I keep having this idea in my head of NeoProgressivism, because I see the shortcomings in what they're doing. For the most part, they're just trying to rekindle something that happened in the 50s. I make this argument that they need something new. It's not, stop getting on the same hamster wheel. It's like they have no ideas, or a failure of creativity to come up with a new idea. So I would create my own model, Neo-Progressivism. It starts off the same way in regards to the book. Profits matter far less than people. All right? The difference between my philosophy, I think, and theirs is that I have a very specific view of what I want the world to look like. Meaning, I can give you that view, and you can interrogate the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm saying, against that reality that I'm trying to create. For the most part, they're just arbitrarily moving to the left. I am not arbitrarily doing anything. I look at society and I think to myself, what are the things that you believe people should have in society? To some degree, that's determined by defects in our own society. And for me, I go from there. I don't even try to think of how to make that happen, in as much as what do I want the society to look like. Once I come up with a determination on what I want the society to look like, I start thinking, all right, how would the society have to behave? What will people have to do to get to that point? What are the policies that they need to be enacted to nudge us to that point? This is the difference that I'm making between those things. It's not just arbitrarily moving to the left. It's saying we're trying to hit a specific target. Based upon the target we're trying to hit, these are the things that we're putting in place to try to do it. So yes, healthcare, free education, poverty eliminated, air quality, water quality, an elimination of income inequality, or at the very least, a dramatic reduction in income inequality. The ending of scarcity. So yes, those are pretty heavy goals. They're healthy, but they are doable. You have to understand, we arrange our society, and then we want to arrange our society. Part of the problem is the divisions that were in that particular society. And, to be honest, a failure of imagination. We exist under a particular model. That particular model has certain problems associated with it. Those problems are invisible to the larger part of society. Not that the problems are invisible, but the actual problems, meaning the thing that's causing those problems. So in my model, I don't want crime. I don't want poverty. I don't want people going hungry or people making a choice to give up drugs in order to get food or vice versa. Deal with the issues. Now, I always make this argument that the issue is capitalism. We're living under a capitalistic model. We have a situation where an unreal thing like profit gets the whole sway and domination over real things like people, their relationships, the things people aspire to, the things people want to do. Those things are subordinate to profit, an unreal thing. So if I'm thinking of a model and I'm saying, well, the majority of the problems that we have in our society come from that model. And understand, like you hear people make this case all the time of, well, capitalism is the only system that works. They'll say it with a straight face too. Capitalism is the only system that works. Now look, these other models did falter. I agree with you. They were pretty stringent to a particular ideal. But so did capitalism. Capitalism is not working. Half of the country, or half of the world, more than half, lives off of like $10 a day. A large percentage lives off of $2 a day. Even in the United States, half of the country is in poverty, while you have others who have billions and billions of dollars. When you're talking about crime, health issues, when you're talking about air quality, all of these things are interrelated with the model that we exist in. Environmentalists, Black Lives Matter, Fight for 15, all of these guys are fighting a particular fight, but all of these fights deal with the face of capitalism. So for instance, a premise in capitalism is to maximize profit. If I'm going to maximize profit, how am I going to do that? As a company, I'm going to lower the wages of people who work for me. I'm going to export jobs overseas where I can get somebody to work a job for $3, whereas in this country I had to pay them 15. I'm going to automate my processes, meaning, yes, I don't want that fry cook. I can just have that happen automatically. No, I don't want that particular driver. We can just, at this point, install the driverless car. Workers are pricey. They're expensive. Because they're expensive, the means of which a company uses to lower their bottom line and to expand their profits are also the means that get rid of workers. Now, understand, you're a company. You automate a process, so you can get rid of that worker. All of the profits that that worker was going to make from production and productivity is still there. That money gets funneled to the top. But that worker is out of a job, and that worker can no longer purchase the service or the item necessary that this particular guy is putting out. Now, you can see this expanding throughout the society. There's all these job losses, all these people working part-time jobs, the sluggishness of the economy. Mitt Romney may have a lot of money, but Mitt Romney is not going to buy 300 million cars. That's something that you need the population to do. You need the middle class to do it. You need a huge number of people putting money into products that they need. When those people are out of jobs, when those people are out of work, when those people aren't getting paid adequately, they no longer have the money to support that particular economy. So yes, that particular company in this capitalistic model has accrued a huge amount of wealth. But in the process of doing it, they've lost customers, they lost business, and they've hurt the society itself. Now, if you're a 5 for 15 fighter, and you know that their model is based upon this idea that you cannot get $15, For that guy to get $15 million a year, you have to make ridiculousness. How do you pull a hand off the lever? How do you get him to give you more than he believes that you're worth? Not just that he believes that you're worth, that he has a vested interest in believing that you're not worth it. That's a face of capitalism. They're talking about capitalism. Environmental damage. If you're an environmentalist, how do you get the guy to put down the oil can, meaning the owner of that particular company? How do you stop him from building pipelines? It's extraordinarily profitable. How do you do it? They have a financial incentive to not care about the environment. The incentive is for them to make profit. Unless you deal with the model, you will never get to a point where you can stop those guys from doing that. Appeasing to their conscience is not going to work. Telling them and browbeating them about global warming, it's not going to work. They're paid for a particular thing, and because they're paid for that thing, the incentive is for them to keep doing it. You can take one issue after the next. It comes to the same thing. Health issues. You have a McDonald's, Burger King, Papa John's, all these things. These horrible, horrible things that are pretty much in every city, in every state. It's not about quality of food. It's not about limiting caloric intake and increasing vitamins and all this other stuff. The capitalistic model says that food just needs to taste good. If you need to put green slime in it, fine. If you need to use some kind of acid in order to change the process to tweak the taste, fine. If those people get sick in 20 years for eating your particular product, so what? How are they going to make the association between the product that they've eaten all this time versus their illness? Their health matters less. Now, you won't have those companies if you didn't necessarily have a situation where people were struggling to find a job in order to eat. If you had enough resources to exist on, are you going to be a fry cook? Are you going to be a burger slinger? Of course not. If you have the resources, the only time people take those jobs is because people need those jobs. Which means, yes, I can run a McDonald's. I can pay those people little or nothing. And I can put this stuff out in the population for when they eat it, they're going to get ill. All of this stuff is the model. That's all I'm saying. All of this stuff is functioning under a particular capitalistic model. NeoProgressivism looks at that model and says, okay, we need to destroy that model if we want to accomplish our goals. Meaning, I'm not arbitrarily moving to the left. I'm moving to the left with an overarching goal of undermining the system in place that causes these problems. That's the difference between neo-progressivism and I would make the point of like a Sanders or like a Cenk Uygur or just whoever, or even a Joe Stein. They're moving to the left without necessarily having an overarching goal of the society that they want. They haven't articulated a conceptual vision of it, only that we're moving further to the left. I'm making the point that you need to have a conceptual vision. You need to have a very clear idea on what you want to accomplish, what that world is going to look like, because you want to be able to pass that world to somebody else so they can see it, and they can help you try to achieve that particular goal. Now, saying we should have more unions is nice, but to what end? Saying we should have health care and all this stuff, again, that's nice. But just saying it doesn't address the realities of things that inhibit. Meaning, if you're in a capitalistic model, that's hard to cover those things, as opposed to having a model that's based off of human actualization. If my bias is towards people, then yeah, everybody's going to get health care. Yeah, we're going to eliminate poverty. Yes, people are going to have access to education, because people matter more in that particular model. In a model with capital matters more. So your education is helped against how much profit somebody can make. You're going to lose, buddy. You're going to lose. The incentive structures under the capitalistic model adds for corruption. Again, all of these things are part of the model. It's not just human nature is horrible. It's, for the most part, human nature can be incentivized to be pretty damn horrible. I'm saying address that. Neo-progressivism is the attempt at getting to the heart of the problem, as opposed to arbitrarily saying, I want to add this policy or that policy. It's trying to create a world. That world has no poverty. That world has little to no crime. That world has free education, free healthcare. That world is not utopia. It is not perfect. There are still problems with it. Any society you create, there are problems with it. But at the very least, you give people a picture of something that's better than where they are. And it being better than where they are, it gives them something to shoot for. And it, full well, not just give them something to shoot for, the fact that they can understand your vision. They can interrogate people who are saying they're for that vision against the vision itself. So if I have a candidate who's calling himself a progressive, but this particular candidate, instead of giving health care for everybody, only gave health care to a few million people when you still had millions uncovered. Well, wait a minute. He had the opportunity to do that. So through a progressive lens, that doesn't look all that progressive to me. This is kind of my point when I'm saying using a yardstick. At the very least, you can give people the vision of the world that you want. When somebody comes up and says, I'm a progressive, the things that they're espousing should help them get to that world. If it's not, they're blowing smoke. They're blowing smoke. If you're looking for just a basic definition of progressivism, profits over people. And when you see people doing that, when you see politicians enacting those policies that take people more so into account than the profit of their donors, that person is more likely than not to be considered a progressive. That's the best I can do. I hope that's a little bit better as of an explanation. Because you're right. When I looked at the last one, it was somewhat unclear. I was trying to be very precise, or as precise as I possibly could be in making that case. Yeah, that's the best thought up to this point. All right, guys. Thank you.